Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making a chocolate courgette loaf or chocolate zucchini loaf, depending on what you call that particular vegetable where you live. And this recipe was sent to me by my great niece in Canada, the lovely Claire. She's been baking up quite a few things lately, and by all accounts everything has been tasting delicious. And she made this recipe and she loved it, and she's made it 2 or 3 times, I think. So I thought I would make it as well and see how it goes. So thank you to Claire for sending me the recipe. And I start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And I have greased an 8-inch by 4-inch loaf tin, 20 centimetres by 10 centimetres, and this recipe should make 2 of this size. Now you could use a 2-pound loaf tin, 900 gram loaf tin, which is usually about 9 by 5, 9.5 by 5, something like that. But if you did, then you may have to cook the loaf for longer. But I'm only going to use one of these, and then because I have them, I'm going to use 3 small silicone tins so I can make some small loaves as well. But as I say, this should make 2 1-pound loaves, or a 2-pound loaf if you bake it for longer. So I'll go on to the ingredients and start off with the zucchini or the courgette, which is 300 grams. That's 2 packed cups of grated zucchini or courgette. Then I have 300 grams, which is 1.5 cups of caster sugar or granulated sugar. I have 250 grams, 1 2/3 cups of plain flour. I have, and that's based on 150 grams scooped from tightly packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 70 grams, half a cup of wholemeal flour. If you didn't have that, you could just use more plain flour. I have 60 grams, half a cup of cocoa powder, which I'm going to sift. I have half a cup, 120 grams of apple sauce, and mine's quite chunky, but that's fine. Then I have half a cup, 100 grams of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and these are reasonably small. I have 3 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. Half a cup, 120 millilitres of vegetable oil. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So that's all the ingredients. And I'm going to start off by working with the dry ingredients just to get those combined in a bowl. So I'm going to put the plain flour, the whole wheat or wholemeal flour in and stir it around, and then I'm going to add the baking powder, the baking soda, the salt and the ground cinnamon, and I'm going to stir those around. And because cocoa powder tends to clump, it will probably break up during mixing, but just to be sure, I'm going to sift the cocoa powder into the flour. Like that. and then I will stir that around. And it will get mixed more and incorporated better when it's mixed into the other ingredients. And I'm going to put the sugar in as well at this stage, I think. Now you could mix the sugar in with the wet ingredients, but I'm doing it in the dry and it should be fine. And then in another bowl I'm going to put the eggs and the oil and the vanilla extract and the apple sauce, and I'm going to whisk those together. And then I'm going to add the courgette or zucchini in as well. Just like that. And then I'm going to put the dry ingredients in, and I'm simply going to fold them in until everything is incorporated. And then I'm going to put the chocolate chips in and fold those in as well. And that's all there is to the mixing. So that needs to go into the loaf tin. So I'm going to take half of the mixture and put it into this 1 pound loaf tin. And that's about half, that weighs 725 grams. And I'm going to put the remaining mixture into my smaller tins. If you had 2 of these 1 pound tins, you could do it like that. So there I have my £1 loaf tin filled, and I have divided the other half of the mixture into these 3 smaller silicone moulds, and I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for 50 minutes. So that's 50 minutes for the £1 loaf tin. I will actually check the smaller ones after about 40 minutes with a skewer, and if a skewer in the centre comes out clean, I'll take them out then. If not, I'll leave them in, and I'll test the larger one after 50 minutes with a skewer, and if it comes out clean, I'll take it out. Then I'll leave it in the tin for 5 minutes to begin to cool down. Then I'll tip it out, and when they've cooled down completely on a wire rack, I'll come back and show you the results. So I baked our zucchini chocolate loaf for 60 minutes. I tested it after 50 minutes, and I thought it was still a little bit moist, but that could have been just poking through a chocolate chip or something. So I left it for another 10 minutes. For the small ones, I baked those for 50 minutes and took those out. So 50 minutes for my small ones, and 60 minutes for the 8" by 4" loaf tin. And I took them out, and I've cut them, and this is what they look like. And they baked very, very nicely, I have to say. They're nice and soft. And I'll break this slice and have a taste of it. The top of the loaf is a little bit crisp, which it would be after baking, but if this is stored in an airtight container, that would actually soften overnight or something. But the actual slice itself is lovely and soft. It has a beautiful rich flavour to it of the chocolate, and it's moist, and you can taste the cocoa and the chocolate chips. The zucchini almost disintegrates into nothing. I think I can see just a couple of little pieces of zucchini in the cake, but it's baked very, very well indeed. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link for it below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.